Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sisters of the Strange. I'm Landrey.
And I'm Shae.
I almost forgot to say my name. I almost just said, welcome to Sisters of the Strange.
Hello.
That was just about all I said.
That's funny.
I pulled it together.
First off, I was going to mention this at the end of the last episode, but I forgot.
Oh.
Freaking Aaron's wife putting a hit out on him.
Yes.
Aaron Goodwin from Ghost Adventures, which we talk about, I think, in every episode.
Yeah. Did you see the Reddit thread? Did I send you the Reddit thread?
Yeah, but I don't think I opened the Reddit thread. I opened some of the links that you sent.
Oh, well, it was just one of the comments that was like, do we think it was actually Zach since he always sends them into the bad places?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did actually read that one. Or maybe you sent it to me like in a screenshot. That's
Probably.
crazy. What the hell?
I saw today
with some
that
guy that's in prison.
Yeah, and he's in there for, I think, murder as well already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I didn't actually want to murder him. Girl.
Get out of here with that.
Don't be putting a hit out on your husband, you crazy ass.
Yeah.
Poor Aaron. He's my favorite.
Well, I saw a thing that said he filed for divorce already.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
That's sad.
I know. He seems like such a nice, kind. I know he was married in the beginning of Ghost Adventures, but divorced because I think there was a lot of dark things going on, from the show, like ghost stuff. And I think that was ultimately what led to their
that one.
demise. But
that's just craziness.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It is a little extra.
Wild. The next thing that I was going to mention was that the last episode that I did, the Cullen Davis episode, the family got in contact with me. So Cullen's first wife, Sandra, had two boys together. They had a Cullen Jr. and then Brian Davis. So one of the grandchildren actually had reached out first and was like, this is my grandpa. And then there was another page that started commenting and was basically like, this is Brian Davis. Here's all these things, which you can see some of the comments. But then he reached out to me via private message and was telling me all of this stuff. There's so much that you don't know because there's a lot of stuff that's been sealed. And so he said within the next coming days, he'll get back to me and answer all these questions that I had. So I sent him a big list of questions that I had this morning. So being in contact with part of his family is actually crazy.
Yeah.
And he told me that he doesn't usually speak about it and it's hard to get him to speak about it because he did reconcile with Cullen a few years back, and Cullen is still alive. Also, by the way, he's 91 years old. They still live in Fort Worth, I believe. But he said that he doesn't usually talk about it or give people information, but he was very intrigued by our podcast and wanted to tell me all these things. And even some of the things that I had gotten wrong, which I will correct when I get the right information from him.
Yeah.
And he said that I could absolutely do that and he would answer any questions that I have.
Yeah, it was really cool. I read through them.
Mm-hmm. So
that's exciting.
That's pretty crazy. So yeah, Brian Davis
has
been in contact just because of our podcast. So we reached the family and I was a little bit nervous because I was like, oh God, I said some not so nice things about him. But I don't know any better.
No,
I wouldn't have known any better. And he understands that. He was not why did you say that about my dad? He was this is actually what happened. I would be happy to tell you more. And I was I'm happy to hear any side. This is just the side that I know. So that's why I believe that he did it. But if you can tell me otherwise, I'm happy to hear it.
Because all of the stuff that's out there leads you in the direction that you sent us down.
Yeah.
So you have to actually be involved or really in a different space to see the other things. Like you said, a lot of it's sealed and stuff. So the only things that are out there, the stuff they want us to know.
Right.
So,
exactly.
Or stuff they want us to see.
And why. Yeah. Which was some of the questions that I had for him. So that's really cool. There will be some updates for that case coming forward within the next couple episodes, I'm sure. Because I'm all about putting out the correct information. And if there's something that, he said most of the things that I said, everything was pretty much correct. Just little things that didn't really matter.
Yeah, the pink was maroon.
Yeah, the pink
stadium.
at the Texas Stadium. He said that it wasn't pink. It was actually just a deep maroon color.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, cool.
I am all for keyword constructive criticism.
Right.
I'm not here for someone to be rude and tell us we're ignorant for not doing something right. But if you're going to be very kind and constructive criticism, we're all about it. We'll listen.
With real sources, credible sources and whatnot. I'll put it out there.
Yeah, we'll take it in stride.
Mm-hmm. I'm happy to put that information out there. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I am curious to hear more about that. What he's got to say. Because he made some points that we, even upon research, hadn't seen. So
yeah.
I'm excited.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. I think that's it.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's all I had. Are you ready to hear about our topic today?
I am.
Okay. So if you watched our TikTok, we put out a little video kind of teasing about it. Because I was actually in Galveston last week celebrating my anniversary, and we went on a ghost tour, and I'll talk about it a little bit in the episode, but the episode in and of itself of this like spot, this location is very near and dear to my heart and very fond in my memories, because Landrey and I actually visited this hotel when we were 8 years old.
Yes.
And it was actually, like, I was talking to my mom about it. It was actually a horrible trip.
Yeah, say the vacation from hell.
It was actually a terrible trip. Like, whenever you think about it from the outside, like, my mom was terribly sick.
Yeah, she had to go to the hospital.
She had, like, a stomach bug. She had to go to the ER.
Yeah.
And then Caleb got sick. He got the same thing. And poor girlfriend, he was with his girlfriend. She was on her first vacation with us, and my brother was just like shitting his brains out.
Yeah,
and I
like
just like
in the bed.
felt bad. And so they were both sick. There was actually a hurricane coming. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, it rained the whole time.
But apparently they knew that there was a hurricane coming, and they didn't want to tell us because they didn't want us to freak out.
That was probably on part of me because they knew Landry.
No, literally my mom said we didn't want Landry to know specifically. And I was like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a hurricane coming, and Honey was basically like, well, you know, we've already made it this far. We're staying at this freaking hotel and we're going on this damn vacation, whether we all die or not.
Yeah. Well, they all just trapped themselves in the room. Me and you were the only ones who were like, we're going to go explore.
We're going to go explore. So Honey also ran over somebody's car.
Yes.
While he was backing out of a parking space because me and Landry wanted hermit crabs really bad. And we wanted to take some hermit crabs home from Murdoch's. And so he was like, we were actually leaving. Were we leaving or we were going in?
I thought
he was pissed.
I thought he was trying to parallel park. And then he went and found a parking spot because we had a Hummer, but there was a luggage rack on the back.
Mm-hmm. Was it the Hummer or was it the Excursion?
It was the Hummer.
Okay. I don't remember.
It was the Hummer because at the end of the trip, I got sent to the very back with the luggage. There was luggage in the back and then there was luggage on a rack because Lacey had showed up on the trip. Mm-hmm. And I texted my mom and I was like, they have me in the fucking trunk of the car. And she called Honey and I quickly... Which I don't know why I got sent in the very back anyways. You had a seat, Caleb had a seat, and Lacey had a seat. Y'all were in the back seat.
Yeah.
So if it was the Excursion, there would have been another row.
Oh, yeah, true.
So it was the Hummer, but I don't know why I got the back. Stepchild mentality right there.
I was also a stepchild.
Yeah, I'm like, well, I'm not really. Yeah, but you were like raised in the house. You and Caleb were like raised there.
Oh, yeah. So it was a disaster of a trip.
Yeah, everyone was sick except us.
Landry and I had the time of our lives.
Yes.
At this hotel. The whole place was pretty much empty because of said hurricane that was coming. So we just kind of like ran around the place like we owned it.
Yeah.
And we would go to the pool tiki bar 701 times a day.
Charged to the room.
And ordered virgin strawberry daiquiris all day long and just charge it to our room. We were 8.
Every day they had different toppings.
Right. I put that in here. I said we would order the strawberry daiquiris and then we would get different syrups on time every time.
Yeah. Because I remember
syrups
like,
on top.
They would put the whipped cream no matter what. And I remember one time they put like chocolate and mixed it with the lime and it was delicious.
Yes.
That was, I think, the one that we were like.
That all the time.
Yeah, that was us, children at the bar, because no one was there.
Nobody was there. And so we were just running around like crazy. And I'm sure the people who were there were probably like, whose damn kids?
These are ghosts. The ghost children.
These are the ghost children.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was fun. It was a fun time. Very fond memories.
Yeah. Because I ended up giving my hermit crab away. I had it for a little bit. My mom was like, this thing stinks. Get it out of my house. I gave it to my science teacher for like our classroom. It became our classroom pet.
Yeah, I think mine died. So my mom was like, you're going to take care of it. I did not.
That's funny.
So I think he died. Sorry.
They smell so bad.
They stink.
Yeah, I gave mine to the teacher. I said, because I remember it stayed on our fireplace.
The only thing that I had to do was water the sponge every day, and I never did.
But you were also supposed to like clean the sand and stuff because they're poopies. And
yeah, and I'm 8 years old. I ain't taking care. No, that was stupid. Who let us get hermit crabs?
Who's running over cars to get us hermit crabs? Not our father.
Oh, good times.
Yeah.
So anyway, today we're going to talk about the Grand Galvez.
Like that was also our last family vacation.
Yeah, I think it was.
It was.
I think it was. So yeah, like I said, my husband and I spent our anniversary in Galveston and decided to go to the Galvez and do a ghost tour that they offer. Used to they would only do it like for guests, but now that they have it open to the public, and I just thought it would be fun.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? Why not? We don't have anything else to do, so let's do it. And so what better time to talk about it than now, because I just went on a ghost tour. So I'm sorry that I'm not doing a murder story, but fear not, there will be some death involved. So we are going to start with the history of Her Majesty, the Galvez. Quick history lesson on Galveston as well here. So a man named Bernardo de Galvez discovered Galveston Island in 1785. He was like a Spanish conquistador, like explorer guy. And he was the one who actually discovered Galveston Island. And then in 1839, the city of Galveston was incorporated and became one of the richest ports in the country by 1890. So it kind of boomed pretty quickly, kind of started getting pretty popular with like seaports and all of those things. On September 8th, 1900, there is an event called the Great Storm. It was actually is the largest natural disaster in United States history. The deadliest natural disaster. I mean, and it devastated this city. That was like booming and doing really well.
Yeah, I went to Galveston 2 or 3 years ago for a dance contest and learned a lot about that storm because we went and viewed some of the historic homes and they really hit on the history of that.
I think almost every tour talks about it because it was so deadly and so many people died. It claimed the lives of more than 10,000 people.
Yeah, and the pictures of the destruction is crazy.
It's terrible. So it was a Category 4 hurricane that struck the island at 125-mile-per-hour winds, and it had a 16-foot storm surge, which basically washed over the entire city. And so most of the deaths were caused by drowning.
Yeah.
Just all these people just drowned. And like things weren't like built up at the time until after the storm happened. So, I mean, everything was destroyed. Another reason that this was so devastating to them was because the people of Galveston had no idea that the storm was coming. They didn't have any like warning.
Yeah.
And so they weren't prepared for it. There was no storm warning in place at this time in history, and so it just blew through and destroyed everything in its path. And literally, like you said in the pictures, it turned the whole city into sticks and shambles.
Yeah, it's like all the wood from the houses, because houses back then were all wood basically. And it was just wood, and you can see bodies and people trying to extract bodies and trees. The pictures are pretty devastating.
Yeah, very devastating. And they're like all black and white photos, like old-timey.
Yeah.
So when they begin to recover from the storm and they start cleanup, basically the first step was to care for the injured and bury the dead, all of the death. So the first attempt to bury the bodies was to send the dead to sea. And that obviously failed because many of the bodies began to wash back up ashore on the beach.
Welcome to Tide.
Yeah, hello. And even the bodies that were thought to have been weighed down with rocks and weights, they were all like washing back up on shore.
Yeah.
So they were like, that didn't work. Let's try something else.
Didn't they have to hire people to come in to do all of this? Like, didn't people have to get like shipped in basically to help?
I think so.
Because I thought there was a lot of like African Americans that were sent to work this.
Very possible.
Mess.
I don't know exactly.
I feel like that was something I learned, but I could be very, very wrong.
I didn't see that anywhere, but it's highly possible.
Yeah, I could be wrong.
I mean, they had to recruit a lot of help because everybody was pretty much dead.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they brought in anybody and everybody that they could. So the second attempt to get rid of the bodies, there were just so many that literally like burying them wasn't an option. For one, because they didn't have anywhere to bury them because the entire city was covered in
rubble.
Yeah. So they started to gather up bodies into large piles and then they would just burn them.
Ooh, that seems smelly.
So they would just burn these large piles of bodies. And this took place mostly in lots of the cemeteries in the area. So there's the Old City Cemetery, Evergreen Cemetery, New City Cemetery, which they also called Yellow Fever Yard, and then other like private cemeteries. Those are like the city ones, like the main ones, but also some of the private cemeteries around Galveston, including Lakeview Cemetery, which is the video that I took when I was there and we posted on our TikTok. It was like all foggy and like just like super spooky vibes. Like we were driving by and I was like, oh my God, I love this.
TikTok.
And it's just this old like cemetery and it's just covered in this like dense fog.
I love
and
that.
then I learned that they had actually burned bunch of bodies at that cemetery as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was cool. I was like really hoping I would be able to tie that into the episode.
That is really cool.
So Galveston literally just turned into like this disaster zone. It was flooded. It was covered in burning corpses, literally everywhere, and followed by a stench of death.
Gross.
So that's cute, fun, love that. What a time to be alive.
Ish. I don't think you're alive.
That's in poor taste.
Yeah.
But I digress. So in 1902, they started the construction of the seawall, which is basically exactly what it sounds like. It's just protects the city from the rising sea in an event of another storm or flood.
Yes.
And it's also one of the longest sidewalks in Texas or in the U.S. I don't know, but it's like it's huge and long, and they've added onto it multiple times. It's like just a big seawall.
Yeah.
So while they're doing all this recovery, at the same time that they're building the seawall, they're also regrading the whole city. And this is when they start to raise the homes, and it was like a requirement that your home was to be raised. And as they're doing that, they basically rebuild the whole ground and regrade the whole city over all of this death and where all of these bodies were burned. And just, basically to me, I'm like, okay, so the whole city of Galveston is haunted because it's all built over bodies that were burned after this huge, devastating natural disaster.
That's a terrifying thought.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes sense.
Yeah.
Adds up. Interesting.
Because there's a lot of haunts in Galveston, not just the Galvez, but the Galvez is like the big main known one. In 1910, the construction of Hotel Galvez began. And then on June 10th of 1911, a year later at 6 p.m., the Grand Galvez is open. And they have this big, beautiful, extravagant hotel. But I should also mention it is believed, I don't think it's true because I'm pretty sure this is in a different location, but it's been said that it's built over the former ruins of St. Mary's Orphanage that was destroyed in the Great Storm. And we'll come back to that when we get into the actual haunt of the hotel.
Yes, I've heard about that.
But I actually think it's like a block over, and I think the Walmart is built over the orphanage.
Okay.
Because the Walmart is also said to be haunted.
Yeah. No, I've definitely heard of the orphanage. I remember the story of, I won't say the story because I think you're probably going to tell it, but I do remember that story.
Mm-hmm.
It's horrifying.
So that's the history of our beautiful lady Galvez. It is a beautiful, beautiful hotel. It's like pink on the outside, and it's just cute, and it's historic, and it's old. Like you can tell that it's old, but it's got beautiful like tiling in the floors and like big grand chandeliers. It's got red velvet stairs that go up to like this. It only goes up to the second floor. The stairs do, but it's just this grand, beautiful hotel.
I remember the entry very significantly.
Mm-hmm.
That's in my brain in the pool area, and I kind of remember how our room is set up, but I know there was like an armoire in there, and the rooms were connected.
Our rooms were connected, yeah. They talked about that they have like not living quarters, but like they had like suites that people would live in at times, like back in the day when it first opened. And I think that our room that was connected like that might have actually been one of those suites.
At one time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely remember just the entryway I can see. The pool space I can see. Our room, I can remember laying in bed and seeing the room, but I don't remember carpet colors.
Yeah.
Things like that. But I remember there being like a dark wooden armoire, and it was a pretty dark room.
Yeah, it was pretty dark. I think
also
the carpet was dark red in there.
I would almost want to say like maroon. Maroon feels right, but that also I think maybe just plays into how I felt like it was a dark room. Not like physically dark, but just like looking dark, because also it rained the whole week we were there, so there was no sunshine. There was no windows open either, because literally everyone was sick except us.
Except for us.
So
thank God.
Yes.
But yeah, at times I think I forgot which president.
Roosevelt.
That's what I want to say.
Oh.
But I don't think that's right.
What would it be for?
It was like they dubbed it his second White House because he would go spend so much time there.
Oh, interesting. Maybe. He was very into preservation.
So yeah, Franklin D. Roosevelt.
Oh, totally jacking around.
Yeah, spent a lot of, I thought that seemed like way too far back in history, but I guess not.
You're probably thinking of Theodore.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, Franklin Roosevelt spent a lot of time at the Galvez and had like a suite that he would spend most of his days in, and they called it his second White House because he spent so much time there. He wasn't the only president that visited. There was actually like 4 or 5 of them, but
yeah, I was totally saying that for shits and giggles, but I was also thinking of like Theodore Roosevelt. That's where my brain went.
Yeah, I was like, that doesn't sound right.
I guess that would be, is Franklin his son, I guess, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I only know Theodore very heavily because he's very into preservation, like agricultural wildlife preservation.
He's the guy that carries the big stick, right?
I mean, like a walking stick or a gun.
Walking stick.
I would say like a walking stick. Like.
Yeah.
Oh. Or a gun. Not at the museum, baby. He's always on his horse.
Yeah. Hmm? Robin Williams.
Yes.
Love that. So, anyway, let's get into some haunts.
No.
Of the Galvez. No.
Did your mom or did Honey or did anyone ever see any ghosts when we were there?
I don't think so.
Or feel creeped out? I think I felt creeped out, but I'm scared of everywhere, so.
I meant to tell you to get Bradley's story, but I forgot.
Shiver. I'll get it. We'll come back next time.
Yeah, we'll just add it in. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Apparently, one of Landry's older brothers has a very significant haunted paranormal experience at the Galvez.
Did he text us or did he text in the family message and I said something?
He texted in the family message.
Did I send it to you?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Yeah. You're like, how do you know that?
Yeah. I don't know. I never know.
Yeah, you sent me screenshots.
My brain doesn't work half the time, so don't worry about me.
So the first ghost that we're going to talk about, the most famous ghosty girl, her name is Audra, and she's also known as the Lovelorn Lady. She was about 25 years old, and this story takes place in the mid-1950s. She was the fiance to a mariner, like a guy who went on long expeditions out at sea, and she would stay in room 501 when her man's was out offshore. So when they were there, she would always stay in room 501. Room 501 was close to the elevator that she would use to access the top floor, the 8th floor, and from there, she would access the fire escape ladder. And she would take the ladder up to the rooftop, and there was like, I can't remember what they're called, but it was basically like a
light?
Like a gazebo kind of type thing, like on the top, and there was like a point, and it had like a roof, but it was just like a little area. It wasn't for anybody to be accessed.
Like a widow's peak?
Something like that.
Okay.
And there was like
That's
a little,
what it's called?
like,
That's not called
there
a widow's
was like
peak.
an open area, and it had the peaks on the top, and she would just go sit up there.
What is it called? It's not called a widow's peak. The widow's peak is your head.
Mm-hmm.
It's something with a woman, though.
I don't know.
And it was for women whose husbands were out at sea. That's why it was named that.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know.
A lot of like houses and stuff that had
Mm-hmm. I truly don't know.
Is it a widow's peak?
I mean, that makes sense.
Goodness, I don't know. It's something though, because it was for like women who would, and the same thing, like their husbands would be out at sea, so it was always on houses that were like coastal, the upper area like that.
They called it something that started with a T, but I can't remember what it's called.
Oh, a T.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I keep wanting to say terrace, but that's not the right word.
I mean, a terrace is.
Yeah, I mean it explains it, it describes it, but that's not what they would call it. I can't remember what it was. Sorry, my brain is fried.
This is going to bother me. Now I'm going to think about it the whole episode. Okay.
So Audra would climb up on the fire escape ladder, and she would sit up there and on the rooftop and watch the sea to see her fiance's ship come back. And she did this very often. So one evening, there was a really bad storm out at sea, and Audra had gone up to the roof and was waiting and couldn't see her fiance's ship. And later that evening, when she had come back down, she was told by somebody, I'm sure like a worker or a friend, that her fiance's ship had capsized and all hands on board died.
Oh.
And she was devastated at this news, obviously. She went back up, she waited, she didn't see anything. She went back down to her room and grabbed a rope and went back upstairs to her rooftop terrace and hung herself there because she was just so heartbroken.
And then he comes back from sea.
Only for her fiance to return a few days later.
Yeah.
So she is forever heartbroken and forever sad and really just jumped the gun on that.
Yeah. Poor sweet baby.
I know. It's so sad. So there's many reports of things happening in room 501 at the Galvez. One of the more common occurrences is the key card not working on the door. And one guest reports taking the key card back to the front desk, and they had scanned it, and like the display on the card read expired 1955, which is creepy.
That's terrifying.
Because it happened in the 1950s. So that happens often, which, it's an old hotel. It could be just, coincidence that the key card doesn't work. But having it say like expired in 1955 seems pretty specific.
Yeah, that would scare me. I'd be like, actually, can I have a different room, please? Can you please actually give me something else?
So many guests also report seeing a woman in white walking the halls of the 5th floor, and they can hear her sobbing near the elevators, and lots of reports of like cold chills like whooshing past them in the hallways and hearing things out in the hall and things like that, specifically on the 5th floor. Lots of guests that stay in room 501 report feeling the pressure of something sitting next to them on the bed. And the tour guide actually told us a story of somebody who had done her tour and was staying on the 5th floor, not specifically in 501, I don't think, but was staying on the 5th floor and like felt somebody sit on the end of the bed, which he thought was his wife, but his wife was not in the bed. She was in the bathroom. It was like at nighttime. Apparently all this stuff goes on at the hotel like after 4 a.m. is what is like pretty popular to be known. So this guy had taken her tour where she talks about 501 and she talks about all the things that happen in this room. And then he, realizes that he's like feeling something on the bed, but nobody's there. And so he like snaps a picture. And in her tours, she's very big on like take lots of photos, like live photos, take like picture, so you can like catch movement and things like that. She has tons of photos. It's actually terrifying. But this specific photo, it's like not on the bed, but there's clearly a body in this photo, like a silhouette standing at the foot of the bed. And you can like see the outline of this like white figure. It doesn't look like a woman in a dress, but like you can like see something.
There's something.
There's still something there. And he's like, I felt the pressure of like, you know how you can feel when somebody sits next to you.
Yeah.
Creepy.
No, that freaks me out because Biggie jumps on the end of my bed at night, but she can't jump all the way up. And her stairs are on my side of the bed. And her feet will like touch my feet, and I always like jump and make sure because her head pops up. So I always make sure her head's popped up, and if not, I'm like, but then she goes back down.
Yeah,
but
so
that's
just terrifying of itself. I can't imagine.
No,
feeling something and not seeing anything.
I think I know what the T word was.
What?
A turret.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Sounds right. I think so.
I think that's right. Good
job.
job.
I hope so. I've been sitting here waiting for you to finish that story so I could tell you turret.
Love that. So lots of people also report seeing things in the glass of like the shower and the mirror in that room, and that the elevator on the 5th floor opens and closes on its own often, which again, old hotel. Could it be debunked? Maybe. I don't know. But that's a big like report. One guest wrote a story saying that he was actually staying on the 4th floor, but he had heard the elevator like dinging and going off and like opening and closing on its own. Or he had heard it going over and over. And this was starting at about 4 o'clock in the morning. And so he like gets up, he looks out the peephole of his door and he doesn't see anything. His room was right next to the elevator and doesn't see anybody standing at the elevator, but then he can still see it opening and closing. So then he goes out there and the button is pressed and like the light is on and the door is just going like opening halfway, closing, opening halfway and closing, opening halfway and closing.
That makes my stomach a little upset.
He takes a video of it. Like I watched it. It's super creepy. It looks like the door is stuck, but like the button is pressed and there's nobody there.
Yeah, so it's like something's sticking its foot in and taking it back out.
Yeah, or something's just like standing right there, you know?
Oh, that makes me kind of sick. My stomach is a little upset about that. I don't like that very much.
Yeah, super creepy. And then as he's standing there, the door closes completely and the elevator goes up to the 5th floor and then comes back down to the 4th.
He should just go in his room and mind his business.
Yeah, sir, mind your business.
I actually think I had a coworker who was going to stay there. I know she was going to stay at a hotel. And I want to say it was Galvez. It was years ago when I worked at Bannister. Mm-hmm. And she said, I want to take a series of pictures and can you Photoshop one of them with a little ghost girl in it so I can scare my husband? And I did for her.
That's hilarious.
And I want to say it was at the Galvez because they used to go down to the beach a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one, I mean, the hotel is very known to be haunted. Like, if you're going there, like, you know it's haunted.
Yeah.
They, like, have it on their, like, front page.
I think even we knew it was haunted when we went as kids.
Really?
I think that's probably what made me kind of feel, because I remember feeling uneasy.
Mm-hmm.
I felt uneasy a lot, but I remember feeling a little anxious there. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I do, because I remember laying in bed at night and, like, looking around the room a lot. Like,
I think my mom said that there was a portrait painting in one of our rooms, and she said it kind of freaked her out a little bit.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, when I did the tour, Somebody was staying in room 501.
Oh.
So we weren't able to go up there. But anytime that the room is vacant, which she says is more often than not, it is vacant. Like there's nobody in there.
Mm-hmm.
That her tour goes up to 501 and you can like go in there and, see all the things. And I was pretty bummed that we didn't get to go up there.
Would you stay in 501?
Yes.
Oh, I don't think I'd sleep.
I think we're going to have to go do it. You can specifically request it.
We'll just go and we won't sleep. We'll just do ghost shit the whole time.
That sounds fun.
Some spirit talker.
They actually give you if as a guest you get like a free EMF device.
Good.
If you want it. You don't have to have it, but it's an option. Which used to be back in the day they did it often and then they took it away because they didn't want to pay for it.
Yeah.
Like when they renovated and stuff, but they just brought it back like a couple months ago.
Ooh.
So there was actually a kid on our tour that carried one around during it. And I'll tell the story about that whenever we get there. But super cool. So during the tour that I did at the Galvez, the guide told us that the hotel is haunted by many little ones in white, meaning children. And apparently those little shits just run rampant in there. Like, much like you and I did, I'm sure. But they basically are just like people see children, ghost children in there all the time. And apparently there used to be like a soda fountain, like candy shop type thing, like in the lower part of the hotel, like in the old days. And that's where the spa is now. And that's apparently where they like to hang out. It said that you can see little handprints on the glass door to the spa no matter how many times a day the staff cleans it. Like they clean it all the time, but there's always little handprints. And I didn't know that. She didn't mention it in the tour about the handprints, but when I was researching, I had found that from like a staff member. But she told us that the little ones mostly hang out in the spa. So we're like standing in front of the spa. She's telling us these stories, showing us photos of like apparitions and stuff like at nighttime, which I was also super bummed because it was just daylight savings and our tour was set from 6:30 to 7 and the sun was still out when we got there and it was up throughout the whole tour. So it wasn't dark. It wasn't nighttime, which I was kind of bummed about.
I noticed that when you were Snapchatting me when you were like, oh, about to go on the tour. And then when it was over with, I was like, wait, it's daytime still.
Mm-hmm.
So I noticed that. Yeah. For you.
I would have rathered it have been dark.
Yeah, it adds to the...
to the spook.
Ooh.
But I 100% saw a little tiny handprint on the lower part of the spa door, like a little smeared one. And it was very small. It was probably about like that big, like a little kid for sure. And I wanted to ask her about it, like on the tour, because she didn't mention it, but I wanted to be like, is that like normal?
Yeah.
But to myself, I was thinking, surely it's just like a little kid's little grubby handprint.
Yeah, but parents don't take kids to spas.
Right. Those kids should not be on that side of the hotel.
Our parents would have sent us to the pool or locked us in our room. Like I just...
Yeah. So now I'm like not so sure that it was a real kid's handprint. I'm like, oh. Cool.
Oh, yeah. That's
freaky.
I'm like, that. Yeah, I don't have words.
Yeah.
That is
that.
spooky. No.
Now, there's also said to be a resident ghost of a little girl who plays with her ball in the hotel lobby very often. And, like, they see her. They don't, like, hear her playing with the ball, but they, like, see her playing with the ball, but they can't hear the ball. But they, like, see this little body, like, running back and forth through, like, the long hallways.
I don't like
in the
that.
lobby.
I don't like that, but that's because it reminds me of when we were watching The Haunting and the little boy walked out from behind the wall with the ball, and that's what sent us over the edge.
Yeah.
So I see it too.
Ghost
easily.
children are like my least favorite thing.
Well, it's because they're said to not actually be children, which is horrifying.
Yeah, it's so freaky. They just freak me, and I'm like, it's just a kid. Like it can't be like they can't be evil, but
I think it's because kids are so mischievous, and so like the idea of a ghost spirit being like a little baby is just mischievous because they don't know any better, and they probably don't realize they're ghosts, so they're like hee hee ha ha ha, and you're like, what's laughing right now?
Yeah, and there's always like reports of like little laughter and like stuff like that all the time.
Sends me over the edge.
Yeah, don't love that.
No.
To segue from the children, we're gonna move on to the next haunt, the next ghostie, Sister Catherine. So Sister Catherine was a nun who worked at the St. Mary's Orphan Asylum, which, if you remember correctly, is in either where the Galvez is built or in very close proximity to the Galvez. So her story is that during the Great Storm In an attempt to save as many kids as possible, the sisters decided that it was a good idea to tie a rope around their waist and then tie ropes to the children to connect them to them. And this basically had the opposite effect of what they intended and caused them to be caught on debris and increase their chances of drowning, because if one person went down, they all went down.
Mm-hmm.
And each nun took 9 children, tied 9 children to them. So 90 children and 10 nuns died during this attempt, all still attached to each other. And they were all pretty much found on the beach near the Galvez.
Yeah.
And they were all buried or burned where they were found,
mm-hmm.
which is right there.
Yeah, no, I definitely remember that story.
Yeah. So the Galvez is basically like over the area of their mass grave, which would explain the amount of little ghosties running through the hotel and Sister Catherine sticking around to watch after them, I think.
Yeah, she's like, get in line.
Yeah, she's like there to like keep the children in check and watch over them.
Yeah.
Because that's what, she did with her life, so why not continue? It is also told by employees that she is mostly present and very visible during the start of hurricane season. That's where she's like makes herself the most known.
Yeah.
The tour guide showed us a photo that was taken one night during one of her nighttime tours, and you can literally see the apparition like of a nun. Like you can see her habit and her long black robe. And like seeing, like when she showed it to me, I literally went, "Oh my, like God," like out loud. I was like, "Oh, dude, creepy." And like all the photos, like when she shows them, like it looks it's not like she just shows you this photo and boom, there's a ghost. It's like you have to like she like zooms like way the hell in on them.
Yeah,
and you can see it. And it's like, ooh, spooky.
Yeah, that is really not. That's very unsettling.
Very unsettling.
But it's also kind of cool. And that's where it brings me to like residual hauntings. Is she just walking around doing her job still?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, like does she not realize? Yeah. Or, it's just super creepy. Yeah, the photos were the scariest part of her tour, for sure. Nothing really like happened. Like I didn't really see anything.
Yeah.
We did get a like super cold chill when we were in one of the ballrooms. So there's a ballroom on each side of the hotel. So if you're like looking at it from the front as you're going in, there's a ballroom on the left and there's a ballroom on the right, like right in the front. And they're like seafront. So there's like these big windows in there where you can just see the ocean. Mm-hmm. Beautiful ballrooms with big, huge chandeliers. One of them, the first one that we went into, is like baby blue. Mm-hmm. The carpet is like baby blue and gold, this like beautiful ornate carpet, and it's just this huge open room. Like they don't have anything in it. They still use it for like events and things like that, dinners and galas and whatnot. And they have this big beautiful bar that's like old, like the original bar.
Yeah.
And it's got this white marble on the top and there's like mirrors behind it. And people have like seen, like taken photos and seen like things behind them and like things in the corners of the ballroom. And it was really creepy, actually, because we were listening to her talk and we were standing in this big group and I was standing like in the back because I was like taking photos of the ballroom and stuff. I kept looking behind me to this back corner, like over my like left shoulder. There's like a door there and all of the windows and doors are covered by these big, long, sheer white curtains. Mm-hmm. And, there's air circulating, but like none of the curtains are moving. Except for in this back left corner, which it's over a door. So there's probably a draft, but I kept looking back there.
Something made you look
I
back
just
there
kept
over and over.
looking back there to that corner. And then as she's talking, she's like telling the story and she's like, and I'm going to show you this photo of this time that somebody caught this little, ghost girl in this area. And she turns it around and it's that same freaking back door in that curtain. And I was like, okay, that's where I have been looking at the entire time we've been in here. Like, yeah, I've just been drawn to it. Ooh. I took so many photos of it and I was like, oh my God, I hope I catch something. But again, it wasn't dark. And so I don't think there's anything in the photos.
You need to use like a little bit of like a negative filter on it and see if like not change the normal camera. Yeah, like do a filter on it and see if you anything in any of them.
Yeah, I might have to try that because I took a bunch of photos of that little back corner because I was so drawn to it.
Yeah.
And then she was like all of a sudden talking about it, and then I was like,
okay. Yeah, no, I think you can use like you don't have to use a certain app, but just go in and change the negatives and the exposure and stuff and just see.
Yeah, I'll have to look.
Wouldn't hurt.
Yeah. The photos of like that we're going to post of this episode, we'll post some of like the old historical photos, but also some of the ones that I took while I was there too.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, they were so beautiful. This blue ballroom was so pretty. I was obsessed with it. I just wanted to stay in there.
It sounds very Cinderella.
It was beautiful. And then in the other ballroom, at the end of that was at the very beginning of the tour, and then at the very end of the tour, it ends in the other ballroom on the other side, and that one's like a red and gold ballroom, and the big red chandeliers, like beautiful. And we're like standing in there, and it's getting a little bit darker. It's like darker, and there's only like one light on. And I kept like looking up because the one light that was on, the chandelier, the only one, it was like swaying back and forth, and the rest of them were not. And so I kept like looking up to it, and I was like, that's kind of weird. I just, but again, old hotel, it could have just been, whatever. But we're standing there talking, and I was sweating the whole time. I was hot like the whole time of the tour. I was wearing a short sleeve shirt and shorts, but I was like warm. And when we were standing in the last ballroom, all of a sudden, like, she's talking, and I'm like, oh, it just got kind of chilly in here. And she goes, oh my God, I just got cold chill. And she was also sweating the whole time. So I was like, oh my God, what's happening? What's happening in here?
Don't do this right now.
And before we had gone into that ballroom, we were standing in the old kitchen, which is said to be one of the most haunted spots, secondary to 501, that the cooks and stuff like hated going in there at night. And when they would close it down, like they would just close it down as fast as they could and just get the hell out of there.
Run.
And she showed a video that they had taken, some of the cooks had taken, which you can't find anywhere. It's like a hotel employee, like personal video. And I wish I had it because it scared the shit out of me. It's like standing in the ballroom looking at the kitchen. It's just this long hallway, and it's like far back, and you can see like the light coming in from like the moonlight in these big windows, and you can like hear all of this like kitchen clatter, but it's like in the middle of the night, like late, like 3 a.m. The kitchen's closed. But they would set cameras up in there because they were also scared of it.
Yeah.
And this isn't like from like a long, long time ago. I mean, obviously they had like technology and whatever. And she's like showing us all this video individually, and then all of a sudden this black shadow figure just like goes across the light in the kitchen. And I was like, oh God. And the kid next to me,
oh God,
his EMF thing starts just going crazy. He was holding it the whole time. This was at the end of the tour, and it was green the whole time, and like nothing was happening. And we're standing in that kitchen, and she's telling us that story, and all of a sudden this thing is just red, like going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And he's like, and the lady's like, oh gosh, like that's pretty intense, And she goes, turn it off and turn it back on and just see if like, maybe it's just like picking up something.
Reset it.
Yeah. Turns it off, turns it back on, red. And his mom was like, oh my God, get away from me. Like she was like freaking out. And I was like standing right next to him. And I was like, oh my God,
you stood right next to him because you sent me the video.
I was like, oh my God, that's so creepy. And the lady's just like talking to through the tour, like everything's fine.
I think you get used to it.
I'm sure. She's been doing it for like 13 years.
Yeah.
She used to be concierge at the hotel, and then now she just does the ghost tours.
There's got to be a point where we're going to get less nervous too,
I'm sure. She's probably so used to it. She's like friends with the ghosts.
You have to be.
She like talks about them like they're her buddies.
You have to be, especially being in it like that all the time.
And like none of the ghosts really there are like bad. Like there's never anything like bad that happens. It's just like weird little things that people notice. And yeah. So the EMF thing, I'll post the video too.
Yeah,
for sure. Because no, thank you. Remember the Mr. Bernardo Galvez that we talked about in the beginning? So he's the namesake of the hotel, obviously. And he keeps a very close eye on the hotel from his huge portrait that hangs in the main stairwell right when you walk into the hotel. It used to be down the only hallway in the hotel that they call Peacock Alley. And when they renovated it, the end of the hall is now the spa. It used to just be the end of the hall, and that was the main hub hallway that took you everywhere in the hotel. It's the only place you could get to anything in the hotel. So he used to hang down at the end of that hallway. So we'll literally see every single person in the hotel going in and out of wherever, the bar, the pool, the elevators, whatever. Well, now he hangs right when you walk in the door. There's that big grand staircase, and he hangs right at the top of it. And he's creepy.
And he's creepy.
So the portrait has literally been in the hotel since 1911.
Oh, wow.
Since the beginning.
Yeah.
And you can tell it's old. Like, it's an old oil painting. And his eyes are so creepy. They are like the most noticeable piece of the painting. They are so bright white. So they are so bright white and just like pop right out at you. And they will follow you. There are those eyes in a painting that just follow you wherever you go. And I hate that. The legend of the painting is that if you don't ask him permission for a photo, you get like ghostly, like spooky, like photobombs in the painting that like show up only in the photo, which I also got to see some examples of as well. And there's like one where you can like see a lady in a dress behind him and she's wearing like a big like hat thing that has like, you know, feathers on it or whatever. It's like wearing like a period dress. You can very clearly see her. And then there's one where you can see like a faint skull like right next to his head.
No.
Yes, there's a couple of those actually where you can see skulls. Weird things that you do not see in person on the painting.
Yeah.
Like looking at it in person, you can't see any of those things. There is one that's kind of like an imprint now at this point of a little girl and her father. And you can kind of see it if you stand back from it and kind of like find the right glare, which seems kind of like sketchy or whatever, but like you can't see anything, but you can see the outlines of like two people standing next to each other, but it's just like a black shadow.
Yeah.
Over the photo.
That's odd.
Over the painting. Super weird. So there's lots of different instances of people catching things in his portrait.
I wonder if that's almost like, you know, when you look at a tile, like when we used to stand in the shower and we'd be like, that looks like a cow. I wonder if there's just somehow the way it was painted that it creates that. Maybe. But that's still very creepy.
Yeah. So that one is the one that you can like really see. And she says the tour guide has basically, like I said, she's been there for like 13 years. And so she says that it's only gotten more noticeable over time. And she does a lot of tours with like mediums that come in, mediums that are like in training, I guess, or like trying to figure out their niche or whatever. And so they'll come in and they'll do like things where she'll lead a tour and they'll go into a room and she won't tell them anything about the history, about any of the ghosts or anything like that.
Oh, just trying to figure out
and they'll pick out pieces and she's like, yep, that's correct. Like, you know, things like
that.
that.
Oh, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, I think there's a YouTube video maybe on one of them, but I don't remember if she said that or not. I feel like she did, but I don't remember exactly. But I thought that was pretty cool. So she had asked like one of the head, like the actual mediums, whenever they would come bring these like students in or whatever, if she knew anything about like haunted paintings, because she's like, I don't really know a lot about haunted paintings. I just know about this one specifically. But the medium basically told her that like the spirits are just like coming out over time because they're like getting more known. Like you're talking about them, you're bringing them out of this painting, basically.
Ooh.
So that's kind of creepy.
That's weird. I don't like that.
Interesting thoughts.
I don't like that at all.
So yeah, the painting itself is just weird. And I don't remember the painting when we were there.
No, I don't.
And I feel like I would have. Like I feel like seeing it recently, I was like, wow, you would think that you would remember this, but I just don't.
Yeah, because as kids, we had the ones in our house, and I very heavily remember those.
So I don't know what I was doing besides getting white girl wasted on virgin daiquiris. Is what I wrote in there.
We was just running the house.
Yeah, we was just, you know.
We were hanging out with ghost girls, honestly, probably.
Probably. Yeah. At least we were giving fake names.
Yeah. Okay, Sam.
What was yours?
I always went between Carson and...
Carson.
Pretty much Carson.
Yeah.
Carson
and Sam.
Yeah.
Reporting for duty.
We would tell everyone that we were twins and those were our names.
Yeah. We dressed like twins.
Yeah. Except I refused to wear pink. I was the green and blue sister.
I was the pink and purple sister.
She had no choice.
Yeah.
I would not get dressed if I didn't have the colors I wanted.
It's fine. I hated pink for a long time after that. Now I love pink again.
I hated pink for a long time after that. But I also had a Pepto-Bismol pink room at home.
Oh, yeah.
That I also hated. So, yeah.
Just, you know, being forced into pink was not my thing. Also hated bows when I was a kid, and now I wear a bow almost every day.
I don't think I really minded bows, but I don't wear them now. I'm not against them. It's just not my style.
Yeah.
You have a different style than me.
Yeah. It's fair.
Yeah, you look cute in bows. I think it would. It's just not my style.
I love my
It just wouldn't
bows.
work for me.
I don't know how I got into them, but I did.
Your style, it works for you. It wouldn't work for me. I don't know why.
I think it makes me look like a little girl, but honestly, don't care sometimes.
No, your style is just it matches. You know, like it fits you.
Yeah,
it's weird.
I like that. Good. I'm glad I don't like a jackass.
I think if I wore a bow, it'd be like, there's a man with a bow on. Like, that's what the vibes it would give.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Oh, goodness gracious.
So those are like the main ghosts and the haunts of the Hotel Galvez. Those are the ones that have like the story and the history. But of course, there's so many other like things that go on there. They've been featured on an episode of some show on the Travel Channel that she talked about like during the tour about like unique bathrooms. Like it wasn't like a ghost thing. It was about unique bathrooms because the bathrooms in the lobby are supposedly very haunted as well, just like in and of themselves.
Yeah.
And I looked for this episode because she told us about it in the tour, but I couldn't find it anywhere. Like I looked up like Travel Channel, like unique bathrooms, Galvez, and like I couldn't find anything.
Huh.
So I'd be interested to hear more about that. But basically, like she said, people, mostly the women's bathroom, also the men's because they're right next to each other, but like mostly the women's bathroom. Lots of people would go in there and take pictures of themselves and they see shit in the background and like it's just weird. It's just so weird.
Bathrooms, like public bathrooms, kind of make me nervous anyways. The whole concept of like stall doors has just always kind of weirded me out. I'm always scared that
feel like somebody's watching you.
Yeah, they just really weird me out. Or like all of the lights going out and there's multiple stalls, like it's a big space. I don't know, something about that is
it's like back room vibes.
Yes. Yeah, it is.
You feel like you're gonna walk out and you're like not where you were.
Yeah, you're stuck. Yeah, I don't like that.
Those bathrooms are like right next to the spa. So like you go in the lobby and you go to the left and there's the bar, and then where Peacock Alley used to be, which is this beautiful hallway now that has like black and white tiles. Oh my god, it's gorgeous. And then at the end of the hallway is the spa, and then to the right are those bathrooms, and then to the left is the ballroom, the blue ballroom.
Interesting.
So it's all kind of like down there at the end.
I would like to go back. I would like to go do that for sure.
Definitely need to go.
And see what else we could dig up, all the other haunted places.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many. There's also another really haunted, like historical home down there, the Moody Mansion.
That's where I went.
Is apparently like the most haunted.
Yeah, nope, that's where I went. I went to the Moody Mansion and I went to somewhere else. But me, Ella, Mantha, Murphy did a walking tour of Moody Mansion because they had the coolest windows. The office, the doors were windows. So you could pull the doors up. But it was like it would open onto the patio.
Did you get to go in?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
We did an inside tour.
Oh, that's so cool.
You could have like, it was just like a walking tour, and it was once you got to a number, you press the number and you listen.
Oh, so it was like a self-guided tour. Okay.
We did Moody Mansion. I don't know what the other one is.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about too.
But that's where I learned about the orphanage and the big storm, and because it survived. It was in the storm, I think, maybe. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. But we did do the Moody Mansion. We did somewhere else. But I loved the architecture. Was what really, really fascinated me. It was very pretty.
Yeah.
I need to look up what other
downtown, like downtown Galveston is also really haunted too. And there's like so many haunted tours down there. And I wanted to do one of the outside tours, but it was like still a little bit chilly in the evening. So like I didn't want to be cold because I didn't pack like a lot of warm clothes. So decided to just do the inside one because I was like, you know what? I've been to the Galvez before. We'll just do this one. Like it's inside. It'll be nice, whatever. But they have like a red light district tour. They have a cemetery tour, and then like Moody Mansion downtown. Like there's so many to choose from.
I can't think of what the other places that we went. Maybe it was this Bishop's place.
Yeah, that's it.
Even outside of that major storm, Galveston gets hit pretty much by every storm that comes.
Oh yeah, and the Galvez has withstood like many hurricanes. The most like serious one being Hurricane Ike. That hit, I think, 2008.
Isn't there some sort of pier across from the Galvez, or is there only the one pier?
A pleasure pier?
Yeah.
It's not across from the Galvez, but it's close by.
Well, it's like there's a lot of piers, and they've all been hit and absolutely demolished, but the Galvez withstands.
Yep.
And it's right on the seawall.
Right on the wall. So. Yeah. It is literally right there.
I don't think I even drove past it when I went with Ella. We were at the convention center, so we were like further down one side.
It's not far from the convention center, but it's...
See, we didn't go past the pier.
Yeah.
Like at all. We went to the pier, and we didn't even go on the pier. We went we made it down like the Strand or whatever, and then back to the hotel, and that was it. And we stayed at a hotel in the same parking lot as the convention center because Ella was doing a dance contest at the convention center. So we didn't have much time to explore.
To do anything else. Yeah. It's like down the road, down the wall a little bit from the convention center. But to drive like 3 miles down the freaking seawall is like 10 minutes.
It's just straight. It's just straight.
Yeah.
I know, because Murphy and Mantha were super impressed because I drove us everywhere because I'm the driver of the family. And Murphy had a big Sequoia, like big jacked up Sequoia. And there was no parking. There was none. And I was like, I can parallel park. And I just literally
couldn't be me.
Pulled us right in. And Murphy and Mantha were like, did you just, because there's traffic, you know? And I put my blinker on and I said, whoop.
And those parallel spots are always freaking full.
I went perfect into it.
Oh, God,
they were like, are you kidding right now? I did it. Went to yesterday's the other day. Parallel parked right in. And the guy behind me, he said, did you just do that? Because he's in this big jacked up truck. And I got out and went to get my yesterday's. And he's like, did you just do that? And I said, And he was like, nice.
Could never
Because I do. I just, perfect.
Oh, I love that for you.
I learned, had the best teacher, Caden.
Yeah, could be me. I took my driver's test in Mineral Wells. They don't make you parallel park.
I took mine in Granbury, and the parallel parking things, there's like 2 poles that are really far apart from each other. But I learned at Weatherford in my Forerunner in case I had to take it there, but it wasn't an option.
Yeah.
I actually took my written test in Weatherford.
So did I.
And then went to Mineral Wells to do the driving part of it, but it wasn't available, or I didn't have the right piece of paper. I was missing like one thing. Went home and printed it and then went to Granbury and took my driving part at Granbury all in the same day.
That's funny.
I was like, I am getting my license today.
I'm getting my license today.
I'm not doing this with you.
Yeah, I went to Mineral Wells to do mine.
Yeah.
And I remember not having to parallel park, and I was so excited because I was like, that's what's gonna be it for me.
The only points I got deducted is I didn't know where I was, and so I went around a corner too fast. But I mean, I didn't know. I didn't know where I was.
Baby?
Yeah. In the Forerunner.
Yeah.
That'd be me flipping. Literally just flipping.
Oh, God. That's funny.
What a time to be alive.
Such good times.
All milfy.
Yeah. I don't have much left, but the only other thing I was gonna say was I had mentioned that they were on the Travel Channel, and then there's also an episode of Ghost Lab, which I don't know if you're familiar with that show. It's a paranormal show, and the episode is called Watery Grave, which I tried to go find it and watch it, but it had said like the rights had expired on Prime Video, so like it was there, but it wouldn't let me watch it.
Okay.
And in this episode, they specifically like investigate the correlations between weather and paranormal activity. So I'd be very interested to see that episode.
What was it called?
It's called Ghost Lab, but I was still confused why it said that the rights had expired on Prime Video because some of the other episodes were up.
It is strange.
That one wasn't. So I keep running into this problem. And then of course there's an episode of Ghost Adventures also apparently that does Galvez on season 28. Like the newest season.
Yeah.
Episode 6 is what I saw on Google. But also couldn't watch it because 6 wasn't uploaded on Hulu or Disney Plus. So that's really annoying. It goes all the way up to season 28, episode 5. So I don't know what that's about, but I'm really annoyed with this because it keeps happening to me. I'm like, oh, there's an episode I can watch. Nope. Can't watch it anywhere.
I feel like it's been doing it to me too.
I don't understand.
Dumb.
So yeah, there's a lot of places that have investigated it, and it's very well known to be another very haunted hotel in Texas, which there's a ton of those, but
I love it.
I know. It's good stuff.
Yeah. I want to go.
You would love it. It's so fun.
I remember parts of it, but I want to go as an adult and just literally only plan to do ghost shit. I don't want to go and act like I'm even going to try and sleep because I know I won't. So I want to go in prepared to just do ghost stuff.
Yeah.
And that is it.
And that is it. And just know that we're not going to sleep for a couple of days.
Yeah. Nah, I'm taking crosses and water. But that's crazy.
That's all I have on the Galvez. There's a lot of history there and in Galveston period, and I'll probably do more Galveston stuff at some point. Just because we go there often.
Yeah.
And there's so much history and so much hauntedness that goes on there. So yeah, that's all I have on the Galvez. She's a beautiful lady. If you have the chance to ever go and stay there, please do. It's a wonderful place. Good vibes, good food.
I feel like Galveston's
views.
really cleaned their city aspect up a lot as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think for a little while, a lot of people were like, no, I don't want to go to Galveston, the beaches and blah, blah, blah. But when I went, I was like, what? Because I'd always heard like, no, don't go to Galveston, go to Port Aransas or go here. And I actually really thought it was nice.
I really love it. We stay outside of the city. We're 30 minutes from downtown Galveston, and the the seawall and all the things. And there's not much out there where we are except for houses, but it is so beautiful and the beaches are clean and nice and we just love it so much. So we spend a lot of time there.
Yeah.
It's our home away from home.
Yeah. You have anything else?
I don't. That's
You covered the ghost really well.
Yay!
It was
thank
good. I liked
you.
it.
It made you a little spooked out for a second.
It made me a little nauseous. It
Yay,
did.
I love that.
And now I have a pounding headache.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So that's good.
But yeah, that's all I have today. If you liked it, like, comment, subscribe, all the things. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram. TikTok's booming, baby. We're still going strong.
Yeah, and if you have any stories from the Galvez or anything like that you'd like to share,
yes, please.
We really, really want to start adding in a little bit of listener stories, so we're pushing them hard.
There was somebody who had told me to cover the 1900 storm after I had covered Colin Davis, and while I was in Galveston, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it because I'm going to the ghost tour anyway. So if that's you, you're welcome.
This was in lieu of you.
Thanks for the inspo.
Yeah. Well, if you have anything you'd like to send, comment, share, whatever it is, you can email us at sistersofthestrangepodcast@gmail.com. You can also go over to our TikTok, our Instagram, or our Facebook page. It's all like Sisters of the Strange or Sisters of the Strange Pod, all in the show notes if you can't find us. And I think that's it.
That'd be it.
See you next week.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.